Step back to an era when air travel was more than just a way to get from point A to point B. It was a symbol of luxury, elegance, and adventure. The golden age of flying was a time of glamorous passengers, impeccable service, and aircrafts that were not just modes of transportation, but marvels of engineering and design. Join us as we delve into this era and discover the 10 air travel features that define it. Number 10. Aesthetics of Aviation. As aircrafts gracefully soared through the skies, they brought a realm of architectural beauty that transcended mere functionality. The aesthetics of aviation significantly influenced not only the design of airplanes, but also the architecture of airports. Take, for instance, the iconic Boeing 747, introduced in 1970. This engineering marvel wasn't just an aircraft, but a design masterpiece. With its two stories connected by a spiral staircase, the Boeing 747 redefined air travel luxury, capable of accommodating over 500 passengers in its cabins. Moreover, the impact of aviation design extended beyond airborne vessels, leaving an indelible mark on terrestrial structures. An excellent example is the TWA terminal at JFK Airport, designed by Eero Saarinen, which mimics the grace of a bird in flight. This fusion of form and function elevated the entire experience of air travel during the Golden Age. Number 9. Flight Engineers. During the Golden Age of aviation, flight engineers played a pivotal role comparable to airplane pilots. Also known as air engineers, these professionals were integral members of an aircraft's crew, entrusted with managing and operating the complex systems vital to flight. While they didn't physically pilot the plane, they operated specialized panels to monitor and control critical components such as engines and other essential flight systems. Flight engineers collaborated closely with pilots, particularly during takeoffs, flight, and landing, ensuring the seamless operation of all systems. Historically, larger planes depended on the expertise of flight engineers. However, with advancements in modern technology, computers now handle most of their responsibilities. Northwest Airlines was the last major US passenger airline to utilize flight engineers and retire its final planes equipped with engineer stations in 2009. This transition marked the end of an era, highlighting the evolution of aviation technology and the changing roles within aircraft crews. Number 8. Spacious seating. In the past, enjoying ample legroom on an airplane didn't require contortionist skills. Airplane cabins were less congested, featuring wider seats that provided more legroom, enhancing the overall comfort of flights. This additional space allowed passengers to unwind and savor their journey without feeling confined. It was an era when air travel embodied a luxurious experience rather than merely a means of transportation from point A to point B. Airlines prioritize passenger comfort over cramming as many seats as possible, with the seat pitch, the distance between seats, measuring around 36 to 40 inches back then compared to today's 28 inches. This emphasis on spacious seating contributed to a more enjoyable and relaxing flying experience, allowing passengers to travel in comfort and style. Moreover, passengers often dressed in fashionable attire, adding to the ambiance of sophistication and elegance that characterized air travel during the Golden Age. Number 7. Gourmet meals. Envision yourself seated on a plane, being served a sophisticated dinner reminiscent of a high-end restaurant. In the bygone era of air travel, the expectation was gourmet meals that transcended mere in-flight sustenance. Skilled chefs crafted these multi-course feasts featuring delicacies such as carved roast beef or turkey. The meticulous presentation further enhanced the journey, all served on fine china with real silverware. This attention to detail transformed the act of flying into a truly luxurious event, where the culinary journey was as integral as the destination. Olympic Airways epitomized this extravagance, furnishing gold plated cutlery in their first class cabins, showcasing the refinement and indulgence in air travel during the Golden Age. Speaking of, number 6, fashionable attire. At one point, it was unheard of to catch someone in pajamas on a plane. It was once a veritable fashion show in the skies. Both passengers and crew members donned their finest attire, transforming air travel into a high society affair. Men in suits and ties, and women in elegant dresses and hats were a common sight, treating flying as a prestigious event. Flight attendants, or stewardesses as they were then known, showcased eye catching uniforms crafted by renowned fashion houses such as Christian Dior and Chanel. This chic approach to air travel elevated the experience, making it glamorous and unforgettable. The fashion forward atmosphere was so pronounced that some airlines hosted in flight fashion shows, turning the aisles into impromptu runways. Number 5, much less security. In the past, boarding a plane resembled the simplicity of hopping onto a bus, with airport security adopting a more relaxed stance. There was no need to arrive hours in advance to remove your shoes or fret over the volume of liquids in your carry on. During this era, concerns about metal detectors causing passenger unease and violating privacies were prevalent. However, this laid back approach transformed over time, particularly as the incidence of hijackings increased. Between May 1961 and the conclusion of 1972, there were 159 aircraft hijackings in U.S. airspace. A significant shift occurred when New Orleans International Airport became the first to implement metal detectors in 1970, marking a substantial stride towards the security protocols familiar today. Number 4, onboard smoking. During that period, airplanes permitted smoking as a regular and accepted practice. Numerous flights designated specific areas solely for smoking, providing passengers with the freedom to enjoy cigarettes or cigars. It may not be easy to fathom now, but individuals used to smoke right in their seats, creating cabins filled with smoke. In an era predating widespread awareness of the detrimental health effects of smoking, this practice went largely unquestioned. Flight attendants would routinely distribute cigarettes as part of their service. The conclusion of this era came in the year 2000, with the departure of the last US flight allowing smoking, marking the end of an era where indulging in in-flight smoking was considered an integral part of the journey. Number 3, unaccompanied minors. Airlines used to fly unaccompanied minors to and from their parents and boarding schools, often referred to as unaccompanied minors. Special badges distinguished them. A hostess would see them through transit from one plane to another. However, only some airlines now offer this service, meaning an adult must always accompany kids. In the past, kids would often receive special treatment, such as a trip to the cockpit, gifts like badges and decks of cards with the airline logo, and having their Junior Jet Club album signed by the pilot. Airlines understood that these young customers helped breed brand loyalty. However, this passenger category is barely tolerated nowadays, as they occupy a seat but pay a lower price. As flying becomes more commoditized, they aren't a target market anymore. Number 2, it wasn't that safe. The classic aircraft of the early jet era, such as the Boeing 707, outsold most comparable jetliners. However, they had inherent safety challenges. The Boeing 707 had an inbuilt tendency to Dutch roll, a dangerous instability if left uncorrected. The first jet airliner, the Comet, suffered from metal fatigue issues leading to fatal crashes. Early jet engines weren't reliable either, so most planes had four engines so the flight could continue even if a couple failed. Flights could only accurately predict the conditions with sophisticated avionics like weather radar. Mid air collisions were a real risk due to rudimentary ground radar. Additionally, there was always the threat of hijacking, with cockpit doors often left open for passengers to view. Flying in the Golden Age was expensive and chic. It wasn't until the introduction of jumbo jets like the Boeing 747 that mass tourism began, democratizing flying for a broader range of travelers. Number 1. No special treatment in customs. In the era before air bridges, luxury in air travel abruptly ended upon landing. Exiting the aircraft, passengers were exposed to the elements, whether needing an umbrella in Heathrow or a fur coat at Sheremetyevo. Instead of being whisked through a climate controlled terminal, travelers walked across the tarmac, sometimes a considerable distance, to reach the air terminal. Inside was no air conditioning and, at best, only rudimentary heating. Customs and immigration procedures were no different from today, with no special jet setter privileges. Baggage searches, immigration forms, passport checks, all the same, without the convenience of a Schengen zone passport for free movement among European states. Restrictions on currency exchange and the amount of money one could take abroad further added to the inconveniences of international travel during this time. That's a wrap! If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for our latest updates.